What's up and welcome back to my channel. I am the Mass Trans and you are watching me, baby. Now before we get today's video started, I just want to give a quick what's up to my peeps and a diabolical middle finger to the creeps. You know who you are. Alright y'all, it's Friday, so we're going to try to make this quick, okay? So, I saw two videos that, well, first of all, I'm going to let you guys see the videos. So there's two of them. There's one from Vice where there's a guy talking about, watch the video.
It's black folks with more beef with drag queens and trans folks than they do white supremacy, and y'all trying to convince me I'm crazy? No, really. It's black folks linking up with literal white supremacists because they said something in opposition about trans people and drag queens that you agree with. Imagine being so dialectically opposed to trans people and drag people in your own community that you're willing to link up with the ops, white supremacists that is against everything going on in your community. Is trans people passing bills taking away reproductive freedom? No. Is trans people passing bills making it where we can't teach about black history or conflating black history with CRT? No. Is drag story hour leading to kids being brutalized in the classroom? No. But y'all convinced that pronouns and seeing gay people on TV is the biggest threat to the black community? I'm missing with that nonsense.
All of our rules and regulations have been dependent upon antisocial behavior, what we call street justice. Most of our associates and friends in the past have always been from that world. How do we let that go? In order to get anywhere with this program, you have to first understand what empathy is. That's the first and foremost. You have a single cell. The bus come in and they move a homosexual in your cell. We don't discriminate, right? And we empathize with people as facilitators. How do we deal with that?
Well, I can empathize with anyone. If a person's a homosexual, a rat, a snitch, a pedophile, or anything like that.
Hey, hold on for a second, because I don't want you lumping homosexuality in with criminal activity, right? That's the first thing, okay? Every person has the right to representation, period.
You got to challenge yourself. You got to challenge those ideas of how do we see somebody in terms of his sexuality or his past behavior. You got to challenge your morals and your principles. That's the crux of this program. Always step out of our own shoes and put on somebody else's.
Did y'all see that? Did you see that, right? And we're going to title this video, When Black Men Get It Right, right? Because I'm not going to speak for the entire trans community. I'm not going to speak for the entire black trans community, but I'm going to speak for myself and my personal experience. You know, there is so much malignancy or so much of a disconnect between the trans community and black men that in my mind I've convinced myself that all black men just simply do not get it. And after seeing these two videos, it's really opened my mind to understand that there are some black men out there that actually get it. Let me tell you something. In this life that we live, all you need to do to live a happy life in most instances is mind your business. Mind your business, right? What happens between one and two consenting adults is not your business. And I love in the Vice clip where the man corrects him when he starts drawing these comparisons between the P word and homosexuality. They're not the same. They're not cut from the same cloth. You got two grown adults who decided that they wanted to be together, made the decision to forge that connection. And over here you have a child and an adult, and the child is rendered powerless because they don't have the mental capacity, the emotional capacity, or wherewithal to enter into a relationship with an adult. So stop drawing those comparisons because they're not the same.
No.
And I love the fact that he corrected him in that instance. And I'm like, damn, he got it. He gets it, right? And the same thing is true of consciously. Even though, you know, he had a little flub with diametrically versus, I think he said dialectically. It's okay, boo. The message was received.
I'm sorry that you seem to be confused.
My thing is this. What he pointed out was that people are so desperate to malign an entire group of people that they will even go with their oppressors, right? And say, yeah, we agree with you. And this is why, I grew up in the age of Ricky Lake, Oprah Winfrey, where talk shows were just super, super prevalent. And they would actually talk about real issues. Today's talk shows, they want to play games and, it's not the same. So we actually received an education to some degree by watching talk shows back in the day. y'all today, in today's age, I feel sorry for y'all. But I would watch talk shows and they would talk about cults, right? And even at my young age, I would think to myself, like, whose mind is that fragile? Whose mind is that malleable that these people can just come in and form it to agree with their ideologies and principles?
What sense do it make? Only thing I can think of is just dumb it in a box of rocks.
Like, at some point, the light bulb has to come on and you have to say, this makes absolutely no sense. And that is the case with all of these book bans and anti-trans legislations that are being created across the country under the guise of protecting children. Protecting kids from who? Not me, because I don't want your babies. I don't want your babies, okay? And that's true in most instances for most of that fall underneath the LGBTQIAP plus umbrella. We don't want your kids. Hell, y'all don't even want your damn kids. And so I say that to say they use kids, they weaponize kids, right? And make it seem like we got to protect the kids. Now, the same people who are talking about protecting kids are doing absolutely nothing about gun legislations. It's not drag queens, transgendered persons running into schools and having kids run out crying and calling their parents on their cell phone because someone decided to unalive them. It's not drag queens. It's not drag queens who are Sunday school teachers who are doing God knows what to your children. It's not drag queens who are Boy Scout and Girl Scout troop leaders who are doing God knows what to your children. It's not drag queens who are priests who are doing God knows what to your children. It's not drag queens who are teachers, and not all teachers are, and all clergy persons. My point is, across the board, you see that troubled individuals will do problematic things. And if you look at all of these cases, where is the evidence that is coming from the trans community? Where? This is me waiting.
I'm waiting.
This is me waiting because there isn't really any evidence. And that's not to say that we don't have problematic individuals within the LGBTQIAP plus community, because we do. And let me say this really quick, because I'm talking about heteronormative people right now. But I do want to say this about my own community. We need to get our ish together, right? Because there is so much bigotry and discrimination and hate that happens within our own community that it's almost, you know how it is when there's a Black Lives Matter protest and people will come in and say, well, you guys are protesting about the police brutality, but what about all of the brutality that happens within the Black community? You know, Black people are dying here, there, and nobody's really getting upset about that. That same thing is true within the LGBTQIAP plus community. There is bigotry within our community. There is homophobia within our own community. There is misogyny within our own community. Even health reads, and you know what I mean by health reads. Like, there's a lot of things that we need to be better at in our own community that we simply have not done the work. And a lot of the reason why we haven't done the work is because we've been impacted by all of the messages that we've heard growing up. And at some point, and this goes for everybody, gay, straight, whatever, however you identify. At some point, you have to start asking yourself questions. Why do I think this way? Why do I believe this way? These people have done nothing to me. You have to ask yourself questions about why you are of a certain belief. You know, and what it really comes down to quote Dr. King, is the content of the character. Who a person is at their core, how they treat you. If you recognize somebody as a kind person or a kind energy, then that might be something that you want to pay attention to, and not just to automatically assume that people who do not look like you, who do not believe like you, who do not follow the same rules and principles and guidelines that you follow are somehow villainous people because they are just different from you. They're not. They're just different. And different isn't evil. Different isn't hateful. It's just simply different. So anyway, shout out to these two Black men in these videos for getting it right. We need to see more of this. Until then, ask yourself this one poignant question. Why be bitter when we can be better? So let's be better together. I'm the Match Trans, and I'll talk to you guys again in my next video. Bye-bye.